Salute is a program for and about men and women who have served our country. Our program includes news about the laws that affect veterans, information on benefits and services, and news from veterans organizations. And now, our host, Bob Peters.
Hello and welcome to Salute. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and with me I have the privilege of having Fred Harrop. Fred is 22 years in the Air Force. He got out in '93, Lieutenant Colonel, and he's going to tell us about his career in the military, but later on, you're going to fill us in because you are the Sumter County Veterans Service Manager, right, Fred?
That's correct, Bob, yes.
And you're going to fill us in on these the latest legislation with the amendments that were just passed.
That along with other VA benefits that are available to veterans and possibly their spouses and widows, yes.
So go out there and get your pen and your pad because you might want to write down some of this information. But first, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, Fred. You're originally from where?
I'm originally from South Jersey, Bob, right outside of Philadelphia. I went to college at a Butler University in Indianapolis. Those that follow college basketball, last couple of years, we were in the national championship game 2 years in a row. Very proud of that. I was commissioned out of ROTC at Butler and went to pilot training in Selma, Alabama, Craig Air Force Base. Then I flew KC-135s was the aircraft I flew throughout my career. I was a command pilot. Most of my career was involved with air refueling operations. I had other tours of duty at SAC headquarters. I was Chief of Media Relations at SAC, as well as I was in charge of an Air Force recruiting squadron out of Nashville, Tennessee. And I finished up my career in Hawaii as the in charge of air refueling operations for the Pacific Theater. And as you said, I retired in 1993 to Florida.
Well, you know, that has to be something. I'm an Air Force veteran. That refueling, you know, that's awesome to watch. You know, how those planes will come right back up and that boom goes down in there.
We're like the American Express card. People don't leave home without us, especially if you're going across the Pacific or the Atlantic. Tankers are a very, very valuable resource, and it's the lifeblood to get fighters and other aircraft from point A to point B.
And you've since your career, you got into this veteran service organization. How did that come about?
Well, I've been involved with the VA before because my dad lost both his legs in World War II. And so he was a Purple Heart veteran and 100% disabled. So the VA actually helped pay for some of my college education. So I was familiar with the VA and with my dad using VA benefits. When I filed my disability claim when I came out, the counselor that I saw down in Pasco County actually recommended, if I didn't have any career plans or whatever, to think about doing this. So I applied and I went to work for the state of Florida for a year in the Florida Department of Veterans Affairs. And then I was the director of Pasco County Veteran Services for 9.5 years, and then moved around to other counties throughout the state to do that. So I've been doing this since 1994. It's almost over 18 years as I've been doing this.
Wow, that's tremendous.
It's very fulfilling. It's very fulfilling. It's the type of job where you go home at night that you've been able to help at least one person.
Yeah, we need more people like you, Fred.
Well, it's a challenging job, but it's a challenge that everybody that's in the business, you're not in the business for the money. You're in the business to help people. And myself and also, as we said, every county in the state of Florida has a county veteran service office. So our main office is in the Villages complex on 466A, the new government building there. And Lake County has their own veteran service office in Tavares. And my good friend Tom Oswald's the veteran service officer down there and does an excellent job for the veterans down there.
Yeah, I met you at a USA Cares meeting, and you were explaining this different amendments, which we're going to get into later. But you service people, not just Sumter County, but you have people from Lake County and all that. But I want to give us some information out. You did mention the Lake County Veteran Service, and like you said, they do a great job. So I want to give their phone number out in case anybody wants to get a hold of them. It's 352 742-6585, and like you said, they're in Traverse.
That's correct. And so we help a lot of Lake County clients and that are from the Fruitland Park, Leesburg, Lady Lake area. They come over and either visit our village's office. We actually have another office in Sumter County in Bushnell. So we have some folks that come over from Leesburg we work with on those bases. But yeah, we don't have county boundaries are irrelevant to us. We help people in Marion County as well. It does not matter where they live or whatever. If they need our assistance, we do everything we can.
Great. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do as a manager there and what programs?
Okay. What our offices and most other county veteran service offices, we're there to help people get their rightful entitlements, not necessarily what they want, but what they're entitled to. And that's for veterans, dependents, and widows as well. There's a variety of programs. We assist people with getting into the VA healthcare system, either in the Leesburg Clinic or the Villages Clinic. We assist people with filing disability claims. We assist people with filing pension claims as well, and I'll get into that a little bit more. That's a very important program. A lot of people have heard the term aid in attendance, and that's a program that has not been publicized enough. That is a program to assist veterans and their widows to help pay for assisted living and nursing home costs. And it's a case where for wartime veterans and widows of wartime veterans, they can get money towards those costs. In the widow's case, it can be almost $1,100 a month for a single veteran, up to $1,700. For a married couple, over $2,000 a month. We can get them, if they're qualified, to help pay for those costs.
What would be like some of the qualifications?
Well, the basic qualification is you have to be a wartime veteran and have served 90 days in the military. That's basic there to do that. Then it's a case you qualify medically as well as financially. Medically, you have to show that you need the assistance of other people, either physically or, in the case of a lot of people, they develop dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. They have to be in a protected environment to do that. Then we look at the financial side. The VA looks at income and they look at liquid assets because it definitely is a need program. So those are the type of things that we work with people to get them qualified if we can to do that. It's a very important service.
Yeah.
Over the years, it has made a huge difference in the case. For example, a widow, that $1,000 a month may make the difference of getting in a better facility, or if they're able to get in that facility, maybe get a single room versus having to share a room with someone that they don't know after having spent 65 years married and only sharing a room with their spouse. So it's a program that's very important out there. Most of the facilities know about it and they direct people to the veteran services. But again, we have a lot of families that come down. Mom or dad had a stroke and the kids will come down from up north or whatever, and they're rushing around trying to do things in the short amount of time they're down here.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they don't realize what their parents did or grandparents did, you know, so that they don't think to get involved in any of this stuff. So I'm glad you're here to shed a light on a lot of this stuff, because I've had people come up to me and say, my son served in Iraq and he's got some issues, you know, but he's afraid to go see anybody, and you know, and I always tell them first thing you do is go to the VA, you know, and you, as you told me, you work with also the service officers, because a lot of people don't know the American Legion, VFW, they have service officers, and you work with some of them, right?
That's correct, yes. They're volunteers, and we help train them as well. I've taught at the American Legion Post-Service Officer School for a number of years down there, and they're very dedicated. They're volunteers, and they're very dedicated. And we recommend to them that if they need assistance, you know, feel free to send the people over to us to do that, to the more complicated cases. And, you know,
and you can guide them wherever they
It's an important partnership that we have with them, yes.
Yeah. So you wanted to talk about certain programs.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and talk. Probably the big thing right now that's out there is one of the amendments that just recently passed. There were only 3 of the 11 amendments passed. And Amendment 2 is an important one to veterans, now combat veterans. And prior to this amendment, you had to have gone into the military from the state of Florida in order to be eligible for the combat-related tax exemption for property taxes. That amendment that passed eliminated the residency requirement. So basically, if you're over age 65 and have a combat-related service-connected disability, and what I mean by that is the most common is if you were in Vietnam, you were automatically exposed to Agent Orange. And at that time, there is a laundry list of medical conditions that are considered presumed to have been caused by Agent Orange. Most commonly diabetes, prostate cancer, ischemic heart condition, Parkinson's, and so forth. So if you're already rated by the VA for one of those conditions, you can apply to the Lake County Property Appraiser's Office to get the additional property tax exemption based upon the percentage of that disability to do that. So essentially, you need a copy of your DD-214, which will show proof that you're over age 65, and you need a copy of your VA rating decisions, which show that your disabilities are combat related to do that. You can take that to the Lake County Appraiser's Office. I know they have one in the Villages as well as they have one down in Tavares as well.
You know, this is a federal thing, right?
No,
this is state.
That's state of Florida.
So how would this affect like a snowbird? They'd have to have
you have to be homesteaded here.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be. Obviously, it's for the homestead exemption, so their primary residence has to be here.
Okay, and this is just for the state of Florida.
That's correct.
All right, I want to make sure we clarified that. And what other amendment was there?
Well, there was one other amendment. I think it was Amendment 7 or 8. I'm not sure. That would apply to widows of veterans who died on active duty, and which we don't have an awful lot around here. We have some reserve units and some National Guard units.
Yeah, we have a big one right here in Leesburg.
Yep. That if an individual died over in Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever in the line of duty, his or her, widow or widower would be entitled to total property tax exemption.
Wow.
So that is something new.
Now, does that have to be a combat related, or say somebody was over there and they fell out of a Jeep or something just fell on them? They weren't shot at or whatever. I really can't speak to that, because my best advice to anybody that may fall in that category is to contact the property appraiser's office, because I haven't seen the actual determination on that, because that also came in line with the first responders, with firefighters and police. They were included in that as well. So if they have any questions on that, they can contact the local property appraiser's office. Yeah, I recommend they do that, because, somebody could have gone over there and just gotten ill from some bad food or water or something, and, any kind of illness and died.
Yeah, there's a variety of ways. Obviously, there's a variety of ways that, that can cause your death, yes. But definitely if they were killed by an IED or, as a result of injuries over there or whatever, absolutely, they would qualify, to do that. The other programs that are out there for the younger folks, again, the reservists out of Leesburg, they have Chapter 33, which is the new GI Bill out there that is really beneficial. And the best advice I can give them is to go on the internet to the va.gov and go under GI Bill, and that lists all the different ramifications of it, because I can tell you that I could sit here and tell you something today about Chapter 33's GI Bill, and by the time this airs, it'd be different. It's a moving target. Things have changed rapidly. The other thing along those lines, though, the state of Florida does provide is that if you have a Purple Heart, and you can get free tuition at a Florida State College. And you can do that as well as draw your Chapter 33 benefits as well. Okay.
Well, that's great. We got to take care of these young people coming back.
Also, in line with that, you have the VA has an outstanding vocational rehabilitation program, and that program is for veterans who are service-connected that have disabilities that hinder their work. And so it may be a case that you have an individual that was an auto mechanic before they went over and came back, and let's say that they now have problems with their arms or legs, can't do the job anymore, and they're service connected for that. They can apply to the VA, and the VA not only puts them through school to get a job, but also provides them subsistence allowance. They actually are able to get dental through the VA, things like that. That's a great program. So these are programs for the young folks coming back that definitely is worthwhile to explore.
Yeah, I heard, I may be a little bit off, but like 16% of our military is female. That's what I heard. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe sounds about right. But what about lady veterans? Are you seeing more of them or any of them? Or is there anything out there special for the women? I mean, you know, women veterans, as you know nowadays, they're involved in everything, you know, combat and everything.
Yeah, some of the VA hospitals and clinics have specific women's clinics to do that. And so I would encourage, and along the lines of medical care, anybody that comes back from Iraq or Afghanistan that has been in combat is automatically eligible to enroll in VA healthcare. So I would urge them when they come back to go to either the Leesburg Clinic, the Villages Clinic, go down to the Claremont Clinic, Orlando. Orlando's technically a clinic, but it's as big as a hospital, and get enrolled and get medical care through the VA, because you're entitled. And again, this is not something that is on the table. They are entitled to it for their service to do that. So absolutely, I would encourage them to check that out.
Do you or the other representatives, say over here in Lake County, go into the Armory and talk to those guys?
They may. In Sumter County, we don't have any reserve units or whatever. We go, you know, I'm open to speak to veterans groups and go in, and we've gone in to speak to the American Legions. There's a popular Korean War Veterans Club that meets in Fruitland Park once a month. I've spoken to them a couple times.
169.
To let them know. And,
I'm a member.
Okay. So we speak to them, but as far as generally what happens when the folks come back is they are briefed by teams when they come back. If they come into Fort Gordon or wherever they come into, Camp Blanding for the reservists and guard, there's generally teams that are set up there to brief them about their benefits. And actually the VA goes there, actual VA employees, to assist them in filing their benefits, disability claims right then. What we recommend is that any follow-on action they need on their claims, that they go ahead and contact the local Veteran Service Office, and we can assist them. We have access to the VA computer. We can see what's going on and assist them along the process to make sure all their disabilities are properly claimed.
Mm-hmm. I just want to clarify this, because some people just watch that and go, he's a member of the Korean, but I'm an honorary member of the Korean. I'm not old enough. I'm not old enough to have served in Korea, but the men and the women of that Chapter 169 are a fantastic group, and they do a lot of good stuff. And I was lucky enough to be honored with an honorary membership, so I just want to clear that. I want everybody thinking I'm 85 years old. You know, got a ways to go yet. But yeah, so your office is. You said where it is. Can you just walk in, or do you need to make an appointment?
We want people to make appointments. That's the simplest thing. And they can call our office at 689-4450. They can call the office there at the Villages, make an appointment. Or if it's easier for them to get to Bushnell, they can call our office down there, which is 569-1520. I have an excellent counselor down there that does very good work. And again, our job is to get people their entitlements. That's what we're there for. Yeah. And we're good at it. I've been doing it over 18 years. My number 2 person has been doing it over 8, and the other 2 folks have been doing it in 6 to 10 years to do that. So we're knowledgeable, and If we don't have the answers, we'll get the answers.
Yeah, if I went on a computer, would I go to Sumter County Veterans Service?
Yeah, you can go to the Sumter County website and pull up Veteran Services. Yes.
I imagine you can do the same in Lake County, too.
I would imagine so, yes. Yeah.
So what kind of changes have you seen over the years?
The biggest change has been the dramatic slowdown in processing of VA claims. What we try and explain to people is St. Petersburg is the world's busiest VA regional office. And what has been happening over the years is, like when I got out in 1993, I filed my disability claim, and probably 3-4 months later, I got an answer. Now, depending on the type of claim it is, you may get an answer in 30 to 45 days. You may get an answer in 6 to 8 months. It may take over a year to get. Depends on the complexity of the claim process. But what's going on now, and has been going on for a number of years, is there are more claims being filed than the VA can actually send out. In other words, complete over a given time period of a year, because you have so many. When a lot of folks from World War II, Korea, even Vietnam, no one was encouraged to go to the VA, knock on their door, file a disability claim if you had a problem. Well, back in the 1990s, when I got out, the Department of Defense instituted what was called Transition Assistance Programs, TAP workshops. And we actually had a representative from the VA there saying, hey, get your service medical records, take them to a VA office or a service officer, go through them and file the claim to do that. So that's what these guys and ladies are being encouraged when they come back and they're doing their out processing at Camp Landing, Fort Gordon, wherever the case may be. So you have far more claims, far more educated veterans, and far more claims that are going into the system now. The claims are complex from the standpoint, especially the folks that are struggling with traumatic brain injury from Iraq and Afghanistan. Those are very complex claims that take a number of examinations, and there's only a certain number of people that at the VA that have the expertise to actually decide those claims. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest change we've seen, is the amount of time that it takes. The other big thing that we get a lot of complaints about is the amount of time it takes to get an appeal processed. That's when you file a claim, you're denied, and you file what's called a notice of disagreement. You disagree with the VA's decision.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
Okay. It's a case to where if you do that right now, you will get it. Probably the first time you can expect to get an answer from the VA on your initial notice of disagreement is about 30 months.
Wow, that's a long time.
They are that backlogged. They are that backlogged.
2.5 years.
2.5 years to get even the initial part. And then if your claim is continued to be denied, then it goes to Washington. You're looking probably at another 2 to 2.5 years to do that.
Wow.
So what we try and do is help the people put the best claim together we can the first time. And what my job is, and what all service officers' jobs should be, is 2 magical words: reasonable expectation. When a claim is filed, with our knowledge and looking at the evidence, we can give the veteran a reasonable expectation as to what the outcome's going to be to do that.
Your best guess.
Based upon our knowledge and looking at the medical evidence and things like that, yes. And which goes a long way in my experience over the years. If I tell somebody, I don't rate the claim. I'm not the VA, we don't adjudicate it. But if I look at something and, like for example, somebody comes in and they were in Vietnam, but they're pre-diabetic, I'm going to encourage an individual not to file the claim because you're not diabetic, you're pre-diabetic. The doctor's just telling you, hey, watch your carb intake and things like that. You don't have the disability. If you don't have the disability, you can't claim it. So I would tell the individual, if they want to file the claim, that is certainly their right, and we would do that. We never tell people we will not file a claim. But my job is to give them a reasonable expectation that the VA is probably going to come back and deny it because you don't have the medical condition. Now, if you don't want to file the claim, great, because that's one less claim in the system. But if you do, that's certainly, you're right. Everybody's got the right to file whatever disability claim they want, and we will do our best job to get it there in the best light.
Say somebody had a disability and years have gone by, now it's gotten worse.
That's easy.
They can reclaim or...
you file for an increase. That's easy. That's very easy, especially in terms of hearing loss. We got a lot of guys initially will file a claim and they'll think they've been denied because the VA will come back and say, yeah, you're service connected for hearing loss, but it's 0%. We're not going to pay you any money. The VA has a very high threshold of what they're going to pay for hearing loss. But as I tell people, the beauty of that is it's service connected. The VA is going to take care of your hearing for the rest of your life. If you need hearing aids, it's not going to cost you a nickel. And so down the road, your hearing gets worse. You just basically tell the VA, hey, my hearing's gotten worse. I request an increase. They'll do an examination and they'll make a determination. Yeah, once you get a claim service connected, then that's over and done. We think in terms when you file an initial service-connected claim, you basically have to bring in the family album. The VA looks at your service medical records, they look at your personnel records and everything like that. Once we cross that threshold, the family album goes on the shelf. Then what they do, you come in for an increase, they're going to look for a Polaroid snapshot of what your condition is today. So you don't have to go through all the heartburn of getting it proved service-connected. You've already done that.
Well, you know, we're just about out of time. But I did want to mention, because you talked about Agent Orange, the importance of people going to the VA. Agent Orange was not just in Vietnam. If you were in Thailand, for instance, because I've been approached by this because I was there, that I should also be tested for Agent Orange. There are other arenas.
That's correct. Thailand, it was used around the perimeter of the base. So if you have an MOS or an AFSC or whatever, they put you out there, especially security police. We're out there. Dog handlers were out there. That's going to be presumed. Also, if you served on the DMZ in 67, 68, up at Camp Casey and those places, it is. The other important thing with Agent Orange, if you were exposed to Agent Orange, then you are automatically eligible to be enrolled in the VA healthcare system, regardless of your income and assets. You go in as a priority group 6.
Wow, that's great.
So I don't know how long that loophole will be there anymore, so I recommend anybody that falls in those categories to knock on the VA's door to get enrolled.
Okay. Well, Fred, I want to, one last time, people want to contact you, throw a number out there.
It's 689-4450. That's our main office in the Villages, and we'll be glad to make you an appointment. Come in, see myself or my other 2 folks that are there. We'll be more than happy to assist you.
And if you're closer to Tavares, it's at the Gov Center there in Lake County Veterans Service. It's 352-742-6585. And I want to thank you for coming on the show, my friend.
You're welcome, sir.
I thank you for your service, and I thank you for what you're doing for all our veterans.
My pleasure.
And welcome
Thank you.
home. To all our veterans out there, active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time. We are now entering our 3rd year salute here at Lakefront TV. We've had many great guests and veterans organizations share their stories with us. We'd like to hear from you too. If you're a veteran or a veterans organization, Lake Sumter counties, please give us a call. Lakefront TV can be seen all over Lake County and the Villages and worldwide at lakefronttv.com.